So Hari Om and welcome back to the last aspect, Universal Outlook. And this will complete the Chinmaya Vision program. And beyond that, we have a few more sessions with Swamiji and Rajeshwari Didi will be taking. And of course, Shanti Amma will also give you instructions about your presentation on the 21st. Okay. So you've heard a lot about all the other components, the integrated development, Indian culture, patriotism, and now finally, universal outlook. Okay, let's see what we have in store for today, right? Okay, so what do you think is universal outlook? You can use the chat box quickly and probably tell me. Can I see the chat box working? Fastest finger. What do you think it is to have the world as a family? What is it? What are we? Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Okay. Can you break it down into simple terms that we can understand? Everyday terms. What are we supposed to consider the whole world as a single unit? Okay, that means what? Very nice. Thank you, Rajesh ji. That means what? Okay, world is a family. That means what? If you can try and break it down a little bit more. Togetherness, very nice. Unity, being aware of all cultures, very good, beautiful. Unity, oneness, very nice, very nice. Thank you so much. Claps for all of you who have attempted. Okay, so let us see what it means, right? Quickly, I will go. So what does it mean to say the world is a family? It refers to what? An appreciation. I have underlined the words appreciation, sensitivity, and commitment. These are three very, very important words. Even in a family, in your own family, father, mother, brother, sister, sibling, great grandfather, wherever, all of these are essential, right? Being sensitive, being committed, appreciating each other, all this exists even in a family. So here, what are we doing? We are just expanding it to the world around, right? The entire world. As we go, we will slowly understand what these words mean little by little. Okay, another very important aspect that we need to remember when we talk about world as a family is that it is that education which tells the story of interconnectedness of all things. How everything in this universe is interconnected. Even as I speak, I'm sure some thoughts are running in your head and you're all feeling some interconnectedness. You can see it somewhere, a little spark here and there. As I'm talking to you, there might be some suns dying. Sun meaning not sun beta, but the sun that is giving lights, right? We know that this is not the only sun that is enlightening the earth, right? We know that there are many more in this universe, right? So like that, far, far away, lots of things are happening, even as we are existing here and discussing and talking and breathing, right? Okay. So I want another quick thinking to be done here. Look at these pictures. What do you think these pictures are trying to say? Quickly, it can be any answer. Quickly on the chat box. Let's see the fingers moving. We can't get up and move, but yeah, at least the fingers can move on the keyboard. What do you think these pictures are saying? What are you understanding? Team spirit, coordination, unity and diversity, okay, balance, coordination, diversity, team. Okay, fantastic. In sync, okay, in sync with something. Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much for that, for those lovely answers. Yeah, there are no right and wrong answers. So that actually allows us to feel free to respond, right? Because when there is a right or a wrong answer, then we hesitate to answer. This is something we need to keep in mind. I'll come to that a little later. Okay, coming to the picture itself. Can you see that in the first picture, there is an orchestra. Now, every single person in this orchestra is invaluable. Every single person's performance in that orchestra is significant. Correct? If the entire orchestra is singing, let us say, sa, and if two people are singing re or ga or ma, you know the impact on the music. Correct? So everybody is working together to sing sa together, or play sa together, or make the sound sa together, right? Similarly in the food. So many ingredients that are gone into the food, everything is valuable. Little bit more of turmeric, you'll have a complaint at home. Everybody who cooks and who's used to serving will know this, right? A little more chili, there will be a complaint. Little bit of jeera. Jeera seems like a very tiny condiment, but that makes a difference, correct? Again, in the football, each person has a role to play. When each team, very beautifully you said, team spirit, when each team member contributes his or her best, then there is success, correct? So are we seeing that team spirit, that specialness, that each and every person is special? Are we seeing this? Now that is something we need to keep in our mind when we try to talk about universal outlook. So we all have to remember again and again that we are part of a huge whole, not a whole, not a circular whole, as a, a big, a larger part, right? For example, we are all part of Chinmaya mission. We are all here connected because of that. And each of us has a role to play. If we know what our role is, it's just like, a stage play. Each one knows what to play. So when we play our roles well, the entire drama, the entire tapestry, everything comes and falls into place so beautifully that people want to see it again and again, right? So we have to encourage this in our students also in the classrooms. So when we relate to facts, when we say things to them, we should, the entire thing should be meaningful. Just now we heard Vimlama speak, right? So we have to inculcate the thinking ability in children, and we have to give them opportunities to do. So they actually understand that every individual, big, small, medium, doesn't matter, what age doesn't matter, has a very, very important role to play. This is something we all need to understand, and we need to deliver to our students or people around us, right? Okay. Now, another thing that we need to remember when we are talking about universal outlook is that it is what is called the cosmic education, right? So when we say cosmic education, then like Amma when Vimlama was mentioning how she went and studied astronomy and how people have think of spaces, but we don't have to go that far. At least if we can bring about an interconnectedness of subjects. See, what we need to remember is life is interdisciplinary. In life, we don't say, okay, this is math, so I will do this. Okay, when I'm going to the shop, I'm only buying things. I'm not going to do math. But then when you have to give money and take back change, you need math, right? Similarly, everything else. So even in our colleges, if we could teach our subjects in an interdisciplinary way, or at least if we could bring about that interdisciplinary aspect, either through projects or through activities, then it will, embed better in them, because we are preparing them for life, like Vimrama beautifully said just now, right? So this is something we need to also keep in mind. How we do it is up to us. We can all be at our creative best in bringing about this in our students. Okay, coming to the various components of universal outlook. How does it help the individual? One, the first most important component is to be or see yourself as a responsible citizen of the world. Yesterday we saw as a citizen of the nation, citizen of our community, our village, our college, our whatever, right? Now we are looking at being a citizen of the world. So there is also some commitment. Then recognizing and appreciating harmony in nature. Nature is everywhere around us. From the day we are born, we are in touch with nature. Why? We'll see. You can think about it meanwhile. Next, to elevate the relationship of each individual with God as a universal force, right? The person could be of any religion. It doesn't matter. The name of the God can be anything. We know in Sanatana Dharma, we know it. The names and forms are different, but God is one, right? So how you elevate yourself and connect yourself to that universal force. You believe and trust that that is the greatest force. You surrender yourself, right? So these are the three main components: being a citizen of the world, appreciating harmony in nature, and elevating your relationship with God as a universal force. We'll go through all of these one by one. How to view yourself as a responsible citizen of the world. I told you the day we are born, we become part of the world. Like yesterday, we did a little exercise that we were Indian first. But then I don't have to do that now. We will all understand, because that little chart there shows it. There is oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, everything that is there in nature is all inside us. Whether they are significant or trace elements, they all exist in us. So then we are all automatically connected to nature, and we are automatically part of that large world, that universe, right? Okay. So now, whatever we are because of our past. We can look at it in any way, right? So there's a small piece that I want to share. Again, I have borrowed it from Life and Aradhana, the value education book that we have introduced for schools. It's a very interesting, simple thing that will kind of intrigue you, right? So the individual that is me, I have 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 8 8 great grandparents, 32 great grandparents. All of us agree to this? It happens to all of us, right? Right? Okay. Next. So if you work up to the 10th generation, then we will have 4,096 people who have been involved in my creation or in each of our creation. And that is only 400 years old. Yesterday, Swamiji spoke about Saraswati civilization, which is long ago. We'll come to that later. Imagine just how ancient our civilization is and how many people would have had a role to play in our being right now. It's very intriguing. It'll be nice if all of you could, spend some time thinking about this. It's extremely intriguing. And that's how far our belief system goes. This is what we should respect and take forward. And this is a little bit of genetics and a lot about logic and culture. Whatever cultures our forefathers were part of, all of that logic and culture has impacted us. And that is why we think and do what we are doing when we are born, at least for the first 10 years, right? And then we are, of course, modified thanks to education and whoever is nurturing us, right? So this is something I want all of us to remember. So our past itself is so vast. It's beyond the walls of our home, beyond the walls of our colleges. So if we had an exercise, let's say in college, if people had to draw family trees, I don't know, but there might be some trees which are interconnected. Somebody might suddenly discover, oh, because it happens. In Kerala, I think we have what is called a family deity. We still respect that, right? The Radimekavar. So when you say that, and then you suddenly realize 3 people have the same power, the same family deity, then you start wondering, maybe our great-grandfathers or great-great-great-grandfathers lived in the same village. Then we start wondering, were they related? Were they connected? So we are automatically part of that whole. Are we seeing it? Yeah? Okay. There's a beautiful protraction of that for all of us. I was very impressed by this picture, so I thought I'll share it with you. Therefore, we need to respect and honor the past. And why? Because we are the product of the decision that was made several generations ago. If you listen to a lot of history videos, you will understand what I'm trying to say. But even this is sufficient to trigger your thinking and maybe pause and wonder at this. It is important that we wonder at facts, right? And we owe, most important, gratitude to all those people who've been part of our being. Again, in the Sanatana Dharma, there is a ritual where we do pay our gratitude to our forefathers. And then what are the link? We are the link that connects the past and the present. And I would like to add the future too, because we are creating history, and the students that are in our class are going to take from us and hand it down to the next generation. Correct? So we better do a good job. And if we trace our ancestry, like I said before, we might find our ancestors are all common or connected in some way or the other, right? So I just put down some activities that you could probably do in class. So very interesting is, of course, similar customs. Different cultures have different customs. So you could have, a group of students coming and discussing this in class. Okay. Now I want you to look at each of these pictures and using the chat box, tell me what comes to your mind quickly. Quickly. No shelter, okay. Homeless, okay. Okay. I'm moving on to the next picture. Take care of them. Okay, very nice. Now, I like that solitude. Anyway, next one. Next picture. Quickly. Fast fingers. HR manager. I don't know why HR, but yeah. Okay. Okay, for the earlier one, abandoned by family. Okay, happy at old age. Very nice. Happy. And then one more picture. What do you have to say about the third picture? And then I will explain what it is. Happy souls. I know. Very true. Right? Yeah. So you know what happens most of the time as human beings, the way we are conditioned and the way we remain in our groups of people, we tend to judge. We decided, somebody said solitude. Somebody said he's sleeping comfortably, right? But then when we say he's homeless, why do we think he's homeless? There's something that's in us that is making us think so. HR manager, right? That also is a little streak of judgment there. Let's use judgment objectively. Let's not use judgment subjectively. Let's not say judgment is essential. It is important for an individual to grow, right? Judgment is very, very important. Imagine you're driving a car and you need to judge the distance. Only then you will apply the brakes. But then you're not telling your brain, okay, now judge the distance. It is so intuitive. It happens so automatically in our bodies, right? So we are judging all the time. But this kind of judgment, when we are judging people, when we are labeling, most importantly, we have to be careful, right? Because we are part of the universal whole. Remember that? Yeah. Now, next little thing that I want to, so we have to always remember to see the commonalities. What are the common things? Like we saw in those three pictures, commonality was every small bit had an important role to play. Every small individual had an important role to play. So here also, we have to remember that we cannot judge and everybody has a background, right? Okay. Very important, very, very important. I don't know how it is relevant today in colleges, relating to others without prejudice and preconceived notions. This is again a very human tendency. So we could actually bring about schools of equality. When I say school, it doesn't mean school. Here's a school where a place of learning. Yeah. So if we could bring about our college as centers of equality, where everybody is treated equally, there's actually a group of people who runs what is called a schools of equality. You could actually look up on Google. They come and do exercises. Through activities, they bring about that feeling of oneness in the classroom. So these things one can introduce. And of course, democratic classrooms. It is important. When there is democracy, there is a sense of oneness, a sense of equality, right? So we should make efforts to bring about this in our classrooms. And youth are, they can speak. They're very good at expressing whatever is coming to their mind, right? So allow them to speak, give them opportunities so we can have such wonderful debates, discussions, and thereby have, a one group, oneness in the classroom. Like somebody already said, we have to expose them to other cultures and philosophies. There are so many cultures across the globe. Even within India, there's so much of culture. Everywhere there is a beautiful way of doing things, right? We all know how some seasonal festivals are celebrated on the same day, but very differently in different parts of India. Same applies to the globe. For example, that Golu Padi that we have in south of India during Navaratri, similar Padi steps they have in Japan. It's, I think, a harvest festival, right? There's a similar Padi steps they use in Maharashtra during Diwali. So when we know about all this, our minds expand and accept people more willingly. I just want you to watch this video.
Today, a Western anthropologist went to Africa to study the social behavior of an indigenous tribe. He proposed a game to the children, and they willingly agreed to be part of it. Put a basket filled with fruits underneath a tree and made the children stand 100 meters away. Then announced that whoever could reach the basket first would win the whole basket and could eat all the fruits by him or herself. He lined them all up, raised his hand to give the start signal. Ready, set, go! Astonishingly, the children took each other's hands and started running together. They all reached the basket at the same time. Then they sat down in a big circle and enjoyed the fruits together, laughing and smiling the whole time. The anthropologist could not believe what he saw, and he asked them why they had waited for each other, as one could have taken the whole basket all for him or herself. The children shook their heads and replied, "Ubuntu. How can one of us be happy if all the others are sad?" One of the sayings in the country is Ubuntu. It means, I am because we all are.
Now, don't you think that's a beautiful concept? How beautiful the world would be if all of us thought like that. Yeah, I am because we all are. At least in our little community. If not, in the global level, at least in our little communities, if we could think like that, it will be great. The next thing that we would like our students to know is about the millennial goals on sustainable development. Let's have these discussions in class. What do students have to say about health across the globe? About clean water. They will say, when I open the tap in my house or wherever I live, there is clean water, but is that so everywhere? There could be a research done. They can talk about it. They can discuss. They can see how such problems can be, alleviated. Youth have wonderful ideas, right? From whatever learnings, experiences that they have had. So it will be very nice when we have such discussions in the classroom so that their minds are expanded to the larger whole, right? Okay, so when one world and one family spirit is there, like somebody already said, we have what is called Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which means empathy for all beings. Now, empathy, when we speak a lot of words, they remain as words. We have to bring them into practice, right? So I want you to tell, one thing that I want everybody to remember is help even if you don't know the person, and help with no expectations. This is something I have learned, right? And I want everybody to do this. Then the world will definitely be a more beautiful place. Now, do you recognize or do you know who this person is? Quickly in the chat box. Not able to guess? Unable to guess who this person is? Another clue? Still not able to guess? No guesses? Okay, no problem. I'll give you the answer. He is the forest man of India. He got a Padma Shri award from Dr. Kalam, right? Why? Because in barren land, he created a beautiful forest in Assam. Now, did he have any expectations? Did he think he will get a Padma Shri? No. He cared for the environment. His goal was just improving the quality of the environment. And he did it. By the way, he got the Padma Shri, right? So what was that? That was being part of a Vasudhaiva Kutumbaka. I have another, one of my favorite stories, not stories, something that I like to relate is this person. Do you recognize this person? The youngsters perhaps will know if you've been in touch with current affairs. No? Okay. This is Shantanu Naidu, and he was the founder of Motopers. And this person, this boy was 23 years old, and he found these dogs being hit by vehicles on highways. And it bothered him a lot. See, he doesn't know these stray dogs. Does he know? They're not anybody's dog. They're not anybody's domesticated dogs, right? But he cared for them. And then he put these reflectors around their neck. Yeah. And then he became Tataji's favorite. I would urge you to go and look up on Google and find out more about this person. He was only 23 years old, right? So these are acts which actually connect us to the outside world, right? Okay. This, of course, everybody knows. I'm sure you are aware that, a tiny bee can actually impact life. Because when bees are not there, just imagine, I think Jaggi Vasudev also has sent a video some time ago about if there were no bees, what would happen? There'll be no pollination. What happened to food, right? And again, all of you must have heard about the chaos theory also, how the fluttering of a butterfly will actually impact, the wind in some other area of the globe. But I want you to connect to the present, that tiny little corona, that virus, how much it has impacted all of us, good, bad, ugly. Of course, the best part is that I'm able to speak to all of you over the internet. But yes, look at the lives that were lost. Look at the trade that has been affected. Look at that so-called globalization. The minute we say world as one family, immediately that's what comes to us. The world was globalized. The world was globalized from the time of civilization, but it was better now recently. But all that has come to a standstill, right? Overseas trade has reduced. So what is Corona doing to us? Maybe we could have such discussions in class. Are we going to be deglobalized? Maybe some thoughts like that. It's a good idea to talk about. But what we need for our students to remember is that every action that we do has a cosmic effect. There are several videos that keep coming on the so-called WhatsApp media, right? Every day, everybody shares at least 5 to 6 videos. And some of them are very interesting. It's about somebody slapping one person and then he goes and the slap comes around. And then someone does a good deed and the good deed comes around. See, so every action that we do goes around and comes back. So why not do a good deed? Why can't we just smile and be happy? Gurudev has said, keep smiling, right? Okay. Now next is how to recognize and appreciate harmony in creation. Now creation itself, we have had no role to play in this. This is Bhagwan's, right? And the way the trees grow, the way they flower, you know, even we don't even know. We can see a bud, but we don't know when the flower is opening up. That time is decided by nature, right? So these are opportunities, again, we can trigger in students and ask them to wonder, observe, and talk about, right? And very importantly, I have said, matching what you produce, how you produce, and to the unique ecological system where you are, where you're producing. Now, this I brought out because once when I was on an organic farm, I realized that it's not enough if that one piece of farm alone is organic. We all know what happened in Sri Lanka recently, right? So it is important. One thing is organic farming cannot feed the entire nation. Large scale production, unless everybody goes organic, it's not going to be possible, right? That is one thing separate. The second very important thing is when you are trying to be organic in your one little piece of land, you will be forever affected by all the inorganic things that are around you. Now, these facts we have to remember in our minds, right? Okay, I'm skipping this video. And very important, science and religion, what is a synthesis? This has been quoted and it's there in the CVP manual also, that in every experience there are two factors. We have to remember that the person who experiences and the world that is experienced, right? So these are two things. Now, what about it? So the science that we all talk about is the study of the experienced world that's outside. And spirituality or religion is the study of the experiencer himself or herself. Now, these again are little drops that you could slowly expand, you know, these, you can make those drops slightly big bubbles in your classrooms and have the youth think, because they have the best time now to think, right? They're intellectually capable. And like Rajeshwari Didi rightly said, please do not permit intellectual suicide. Let them think, yeah? And how to elevate your relationship with God as a universal force. So we can have discussions. One very important thing, like I said earlier, create opportunities to wonder at the universe, and of course, feel the divine oneness. The divine oneness, how do we make them feel? There are so many things. Simple examples you can bring about in your classroom. I know a 90-plus-old person who was affected by Corona, but he survived. He's still alive. While there are so many who have lost their lives. Science can say a number of things, but still there is that one thing, one very important drop that is called that supreme force, which decides who has to be alive for how long. I don't know if most of you will agree with me, but I strongly believe so. So when we have such discussions in the classroom, students will all automatically fall in line and start thinking. They may differ, it's perfectly fine, right? But at least they're thinking, right? Okay. So the need for universal outlook, like you know, like anything else, there is an educational angle to it. There's a technological angle. See, all this enables us to reach out to other people, either give or take, right? So how to help ourselves and the students to work on these, create opportunities. Yeah, small, very tiny things, create a garden, create a forest or something. This I always like and I recommend, to think and wonder. That little grain of rice, What is the process that it went through? How many pairs of hands would have worked for that one grain of rice? Like I said before, I worked on an organic farm with children, with adolescents, and at the end of it, after one complete cycle from grain to grain, which took about 365 days, they held a fistful of grains in their hand and said, it took so much hard work to produce this. We will never waste food. So let all our students think about it. The yarn, the clothes that we are wearing, how many pairs of hands would have gone into it? Irrespective of what it could be. It could be cotton, it could be linen, it could be synthetic, it could be polyester, it could be anything. But so many people have worked for it. Let students wonder. Let them think about it. Highlight the art of communication, stories, how language evolved. You know, you can go back to caveman, whatever level you want to go back to, right? And you have to connect all learning in the class to the universal whole. It is very important because life is not in silos. Life is interdisciplinary. We are preparing students for life. So once we do this, what will happen? Students will know who they are. They have a better identity of themselves in the world and their purpose, why they are in this world. Like Vamlama said, they would have gained the knowledge and then they realize, they come up with some beliefs. There is this belief. After that, they have belief also in certain systems. And then who they want to become, and that becomes their offering to the world. And how they want to live, what is the kind of relationship they want to have with others. All this will automatically blossom in our students if we have done all that we have just discussed, right? So to revise quickly, so the components of universal outlook is to imprint in our students that they are citizens of the whole world, which means we believe that we are citizens of the whole world and therefore everybody believes so. And then how to wonder, appreciate harmony in creation, in nature, and elevate the relationship with God as a universal force. These are three very important components, and I want all of you, before we leave, to watch this little video, which will definitely have an impact.
Now, some of the things that's going to happen when you look out and see what can I contribute to, what can I give, I guarantee you, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to have a voice that's saying, it's just no use. It's out of control now. There will be a voice telling you that you'll be wasting your time and wasting your energy and wasting your effort. I say, don't listen to it. Listen to that still small voice that says, I can do something, and I ought to do it. We ought to do it. Disraeli said this. Nothing can resist the will of a people that will stake even their existence on the extent of their purpose for good. I strongly believe that all of us have some work to do, that each one of us showed up to do something, that each one of us showed up to contribute something to life, and that if we don't do it, it will not be done. Be it that you want to help and contribute to youth or do something for the homeless, whatever you want to do, if you get up in the morning out of a sense of ought-ness and decide that I am an opening for the universe, that life can work through and use me as a channel and as an instrument for change.
How will you serve the world? What do they need that your talent can provide? That's all you have to figure out. I can tell you from experience, the effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is. You are ready and able to do beautiful things in this world. And after you walk through those doors today, you will only ever have two choices, love or fear. Choose love and don't ever let fear turn you against your playful heart.
Begin to see yourself as an opening for the universe to move through, to work through, to make a difference in life. See yourself being used by life to improve the quality of life, to expand and to grow.
Yeah, so let's be the change that we want to see in the world, like Gandhiji already said, and let's all become beautiful change makers. Let's touch lives wherever we are, right? So thank you and Hari Om, and let's hope that each one of you is able to infuse a little bit of CVP in all your colleges, and all of you are able to touch all the students and people around you. Thank you. Hari Om.